Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. So last week we did several shows on the impact of COVID-19 on businesses on main streets. We focused on Port Credit and the Danforth, but it's applicable to everywhere. And so one of the things that is really quite interesting is people that are trying to beautify our main streets and make them more interesting. And there's an organization called the Steps Initiative, Main Street Art Challenge that the Steps Initiative has been working on. And I'd like to introduce you to Bevan Jennings, who's the program director. She's responsible for managing Steps community programming, including the artists, the building program. And for the last decade, her creative practice has been focused on developing interdisciplinary and intergovernmental arts programs that build a sense of community, develop new skills, and expose participants to opportunities within the arts sector. Sounds fantastic. And then also, I'm going to introduce you to June Kim. She's a Toronto-based Korean-born painter and muralist. She graduated from Washington University in St. Louis. She's exhibited her paintings around the world since 2010 at some galleries, notable galleries and events. And she explores the idea of home as an immigrant and creative, safe experience. And then finally, I'm going to introduce you to Natasha Mckinnon. She's with the Port Credit BIA. She's the operations manager. The BIA is an interesting organization. It was formed in 1977. It's been working hard to boost Port Credit as a unique business. I've got a wonderful picture on my kitchen wall of the lighthouse in Port Credit that I put up on my Facebook advertising one of my shows just the other day. And so I think that Port Credit's done a great job of trying to make Port Credit a symbol with that lighthouse and a place to go, and then beautifying it over the course of this past year with the Main Street Art Challenge. So Bevan, maybe we can start with you. Tell us about the Main Street Arts Challenge and what you've been trying to do, if you could.
Absolutely. So STEPS is a national nonprofit public art organization, and we're always aiming to support artists, local businesses, BIAs. We work with a variety of different partners. So once COVID hit and we really realized the economic impact that the pandemic was going to have, we looked to come up with creative solutions in order to help safely bring people back to Main Street. So we developed the I Heart Main Street Challenge with the support from RBC. And that allowed us to not only reach out and put out a call for interested BIAs. We reached out through Toronto as well as into Peel, and we, looked to see what the needs were, tried to create a call that would respond to those needs, and then in a very short turnaround time, we responded by connecting BIAs to artists. In total, we worked with 11 BIAs in Toronto and in Peel. We had 42 activations and engaged over 20 artists. So really looking to define the BIA space and to encourage people to get out there and shop local and activate the local economies.
So Natasha, I was driving down Lakeshore one weekend. Frankly, I was going, look at all this concrete. And then like a week later, I drove down Lakeshore in Port Credit and I went, whoa, what happened? Like there was color everywhere. What happened?
Yes. Yeah. So the BIA, we were working this year on bringing more art into our Main Street, and our late GM Beatrice, may she rest in peace. She actually brought awareness to the Steps challenge that was set out earlier this summer, and we thought it was a great opportunity, and we applied, and we were brainstorming exactly what aspects we wanted to bring recognition to, and what we can actually paint in the guidelines, of course. And so we saw these cement circles, and you saw it yourself, Brian. They were ugly. We had them there. There was no art on it. It was just gray blocks. So we figured, why not have artists use this as a canvas? And that's exactly what we did. So when we signed on and we applied and we were selected, we were so excited to bring art onto the cement circles. So we've got about 12 different ones painted. Actually, we put 2 more in, so we have 14 right now all over our village.
I'm going to show them in a couple of minutes for people that are interested. June, why would you want to paint this art outdoors?
As a mural artist, like painting outdoor, it really means a lot to me. It connects with people and provides free art for everybody. For this specific project, for the Main Street Art Challenge project, I partnered with Chinatown BIA and I created the design that represent the power of like yin and yang, the symbol of yin and yang. So I just wanted to show people that we could still enjoy the art outside on the street, and we could be ourselves.
Now, these paintings on the picnic tables, are these some of the ones that you did, or are these other artists?
That's the one that I did, yes.
And you say it's got an image of a yin and yang. Where do I see that?
So the image based on Chinese symbol yin and yang, it's this image consists of dragon and tiger facing each other. The dragon versus tiger represents the balance of power. It represents both the hard and the soft style of power. And both are the Buddhist symbols, which refers to two spirits so widely different and yet at the same time similar mortal enemies intricately linked together by destiny. It's like really interesting story. And it represents the power that has like softness and strongness.
Now it looks like these are on a material that's put on top of the picnic benches. So you didn't draw on the picnic benches, you drew elsewhere and brought them onto the picnic benches. Is that correct?
Yeah, I actually designed this on my iPad digitally. I made everything digitally, and I sent this image to BIA, and they printed it out on the fabric and they installed it.
And are they still there, or did they have to come off for the winter?
That I'm not sure yet.
Because many of these projects were part of the Curb TO program in Toronto, a lot of them are now being taken down because of snow removal. Tis the season. So they stayed up as long as they could. That's why we tried to push the I Heart Main Street Challenge out in the summer, and so that people could enjoy them into October and November.
Well, June, the art is beautiful, and the story that you were starting to tell us is really quite compelling. I'd love to hear more of it at some point in time. Anyway, we're going to take a break and come back with Bevan, June, and Natasha and hear more about this Main Street Art program in just a minute. I want you all to stay with us. We're back on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting with a couple of different people from something called the STEPS Initiative. Bevan Jennings is the program director of the STEPS Initiative. And what it did was interested in putting art on main streets to try to beautify them and teach people that our main streets are places we've got to focus on and get back to and shop at. June Kim is a Korean-born, Toronto-based painter and muralist. And she was telling me this great story about yin and yang that I didn't know about and I want to hear more about later. And she's an interesting individual, both as an artist, as a person. She's the recipient of a newcomer refugee artist mentorship grant from the Toronto Arts Council and is one of the artists in residence at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Toronto. June, you probably don't know this, but I was the former president of the Mississauga Arts Council. So I'm really interested in what businesses and governments and society can do to promote arts. And so I'd love to hear more about what the Toronto Arts Council is doing to assist you. And Natasha Mckinnon is the operations manager of the Port Credit BIA. And so we're going to be interested to talk about some of the things that the BIA is doing to make Port Credit a better place to be and shop and go out for dinners but also, as an example of what BIAs can do in other regions. So maybe come back to you, Bevan, and start. So tell me a little bit about why you wanted to do this program. You're part of what organization and what got you going in this, and how long have you been doing it?
Sure. So the STEPS initiative has been around for 10 years. And like I said, we're a public art organization. So we're really looking to animate and activate public space. So whether that's green spaces or, side of private buildings. We also have the Patch roster, which is public art through construction hoarding. That's a social enterprise we manage that, June is one of our artists. We have 150 artists on that roster, which work with developers to pair artists, give them public exhibition opportunities on construction hoarding. This project in particular, though, we were really listening to both the needs of the BIAs that we were speaking to, but also the needs of the artists that we would look to support. When we moved into COVID, gig workers lost their income. They lost murals and they lost upcoming projects that they had lined up for 2020. Grants were starting to shift and change. There was a real fear within the arts community of just like, what's next? So we wanted to ensure that there was paid opportunity, and we wanted to support BIAs in offering paid opportunities to artists. We feel really strongly in the work that we do about engagement. And one of our other programs is our CPR. That's our placemaking response program, where we offer pro bono consultation and services to municipalities, BIAs, non-arts community groups to help them activate their spaces, whether it's to make them safer, more beautiful, or straight up more interesting.
Now, we had a program a couple of years ago in Mississauga that was painting murals on power boxes and communications boxes. Is that something you were involved with as well?
We've managed a similar program for the city of Toronto, but yeah, I think we've laid paint on pretty much every surface you can imagine. We're an interdisciplinary arts organization, so we've moved into sculpture, both like large-scale public artworks, but also really community engaged public artworks and collaborative projects that explore public space and access to it. We're even starting to explore virtual spaces, which is like, don't get me started on that.
How are you funded?
We are project-based, and we do have some core funding from the Ontario Arts Council, but we look to, we're always looking to make sure that our projects, our partnerships are fully supported. This project in particular was generously supported by RBC, and that support also allowed it to be a challenge where there was awards granted. So both the project June was involved in, as well as Natasha, were selected by the jury for the Main Street Art Challenge, and the BIAs, each of the award-winning BIAs will be working with them to ensure there's future placemaking in their communities.
June, I'm fascinated by your resume and the description of some of the work that you do. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about, you say in your resume that you specialize in exploring the idea of home as an immigrant and creating safe space. Can you tell me about that?
I moved here in Canada about 4 years ago, and I first moved in here, like sense of belonging and sense of home, it became very important to me. So when I started making public artwork, it just gives me sense of joy and sense of belonging. Like all the people neighboring people residents, like who lives nearby, they all come up to me and ask me questions. They have like really nice comments on my work. And those kind of things makes me feel like home. So I started doing more mural and more public artwork, more public community engaged artwork, because I know the feeling of displaced, and I want to share my experience with community, and I wanted to bring joy to other people by making public artwork.
Wonderful. This mentorship program that you were sponsored and you were the recipient of from the Toronto Arts Council, what did it do? Did it pay you some money? Did it give you exhibit opportunities? Tell me a little bit about the program and what the benefits of being the recipient were.
So for that specific grant, it's a mentorship program. So I found this mentor from one of the programs that I participated in, and we applied this grant. Our project was to me mentored by her, learning all the specific skills, like in terms of making public art and how to write a strong grant and how to make money out of it. So we apply to the grant with this idea, and the grant gave us some amount of money to explore those ideas and keep create.
Fantastic. Maybe Natasha, we can go to you. So the Port Credit BIA, did you actually hire some artists to do these paintings?
Yes. So we actually had one of the artists come back and do some more work in our BIA. We've also this year we focused a lot on activating our main street with all the beautification and marketing digitally as well. After we've implemented all these beautiful art pieces, so we actually had the 12 that were completed by the Steps Initiative, and then we hired one additional artist that is actually local to complete 2 more cement circles. The BIA, we are working on so many different projects right now that we have on the go that we cannot wait till to implement when next year in spring. So unfortunately, the weather is not on our side right now. So this year, what we did, we basically did all the paperwork, and we went in and dug deep to get all the artists and secure them, so that next year, you're basically in for a beautiful treat.
So tell me, what are these cement circles for? Are they like just sitting?
Absolutely, yeah. So they're for sitting. So they were installed a few years ago. I don't necessarily know the exact year, but they were installed for seating because there was we have a lot of space for pedestrians and visitors that come and go, and we've got a lot of beautiful shops, restaurants, cafes, you name it, all around our main street. So they were implemented for people to come and sit. Now, what we did was they were lost in translation. If you had seen them before, and you could probably, like, driving by, it basically camouflaged with the road. So what we did was we used that for beautiful benches, and people sit there, people hang out around there. We've got more cement circles that are around that have beautiful planters that are placed inside as well. So it's multi-purpose if you think about it.
What do you think, Bevan? Does this beautify Lakeshore Boulevard, Lakeshore Road?
Yeah, I think that this has made some incredible impact as Steps is moving more into the Peel region. We also supported the Milton BIA through this project, but we're looking to do more programming in Peel. We've heard some great feedback either from individuals at the city, community members, just about wow, this has totally changed the landscape of Port Credit. It's brought so much color and, that consistency of color palette that Natasha and her team shows out, it really pops.
Yeah. To echo that comment, we've got such great feedback from our businesses as well as our community that the streets have been we've lit up the streets, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. So the project itself was such a great success, and it helped with definitely future placemaking goals that the Port Credit BIA has.
June, I know you weren't the artist out in Port Credit, but what's it like to paint on concrete? It must be pretty challenging. And what are people using to paint on the concrete? Any idea?
I believe a lot of people use latex paint. There is a specific paint for exterior surfaces, so you could use that, or spray paint is always very strong material so that you can use any surface.
Must have been quite the process to paint. Would someone have come with a design sort of mapped out on their iPad, or would they just do it their freestyle?
Yeah.
I think it all depends on the artist. Yeah. For me, I prefer to use my iPad. I like to have a design overlap with the image of the area so that I know exactly what kind of image goes on directly on the surface. But a lot of artists who still does traditional materials like paper on pencil on paper and stuff like that.
Bevan or Natasha, can you tell us who some of the artists were that were working in Port Credit?
Bevan,
Sure.
you want to take the lead? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sure. So, of course, now I'm on the spot. I'm going to forget some names, but we had Marco and we had Lauren.
Yes.
And the third
Erin.
artist, Erin. Yeah.
Yes.
We were just looking at her image, right?
Yeah. They were, that was her image. And with the three artists that came out to Port Credit, they had everything mapped out for us to see before the designs were put on concrete. And the feedback from the artists were that the concrete absorbed a lot of the paint, and it was definitely the project took longer than they anticipated, but they had such a great time doing it.
Must have been hot out in the sunshine, painting all day. How long did it take? More than a day?
Oh, yes. So they were out there for entire weeks. So one week. So I would say about, some of the artists took about 3 to 4 days. Some took the entire week. So we just gave them that freedom, and we had them set up really well. We had them set up completely. So we have a golf cart that you will see around Port Credit in the summer months. And so we had Gail actually driving them around, as well as Vince, whenever they needed something. And, they drove them around, they set them up, tear down, they brought them back, and they actually really enjoyed being in that golf cart. So I think that was an incentive for them too.
Natasha, Main streets are at risk with COVID-19. The stores have been closed, the restaurants have been either closed or limited. Looks like we're heading back into some more tough times with a second wave. What's the Port Credit BIA doing to assist the survival of Lakeshore and Port Credit?
So what we did was, at the beginning of this year, we launched our Support the Port initiative. So it's a gift card initiative where participating businesses were able to receive payments from people that purchased these gift cards. So it first started out with with our partner, with our community partners, Brightwater Development, Eden Shaw, Port Credit Community Foundation, and ourselves. We donated collectively $20,000 into this initiative. And this donation was, when anybody purchased a Support the Port gift card, we would match the same dollar amount and make a donation to the Compass Food Bank. So we're helping our local businesses and stimulating our economy, as well as helping the Compass Food Bank as well. So after that unraveled, we actually did our Take a Left campaign. So Take a Left campaign considered, when you're going down here in Ontario, you take a left, go explore all the beautiful businesses and the eateries that we have on the left of Lakeshore, because typically people want to go to the right where the lake is. And we set up classic cars every Thursday. We brought out live entertainers as well. So and of course, with practicing social distancing and what have you. Now leading into the winter, and we're unfortunately in our second lockdown, and we're in red zone, the Port Credit BIA, we worked on a new marketing campaign called Businesses Are People. So what this is, it launched 2 weeks ago, and Businesses Are People, we're putting a face to the business. So this campaign basically launched because we wanted you to feel the rawness and the heartfelt that these business owners are facing during this critical time. So this campaign is still going on. We've released our video last week, and currently we are staggering the personal stories that these business owners have right now and the struggles that they have been facing throughout this entire time. Leading into some more initiatives that we have. They're not finalized yet, so I can't give you too much information about it, but just know that the BIA has been working constantly to support our local businesses.
Bevan, we've got this problem not just in Port Credit, but in main streets across the GTA, across the world. What can you do with your initiative to assist? Do you think art alone can bring people back to main streets next spring and summer?
I think that art plays a major role in that, art and cultural activities, because it allows people entry points to view their neighborhoods, to view communities in a different light. It also can set up structures to create safe spacing, from ground decals, to ensure that there's a creative way to stay six feet apart. And it does help stimulate the local economy. We've seen so much, interest, feedback, and also like buying power of people going out to the main streets because they see an event, an activity happening. For us, we really heard from BIAs that, in losing their events, their cultural events, their neighborhood events this year, it had a major impact, and that there shows how vital arts are, having the live performance, having the visual arts, live arts taking place draws out people. And so if you can figure out a creative, safe, and use social media as a way to share and connect, which is what we really tried to do through this project, connect all the BIAs, connect all their stories and the artists. I think it can be a major driver.
June, you were telling us a little bit about yin and yang, which I really quite appreciated. I'm not sure if you're also familiar and if it's maybe the same concept, but this concept I understand in Chinese background of crisis and opportunity, that every crisis brings an opportunity, and it's two sides of the same coin. I think as Bevan is talking about, COVID-19 is a crisis, but it does give us this opportunity to make our main streets a little bit more beautiful and more inviting. And it's interesting. I spent some time in Port Credit. I spent some time in Blue Rouse Village. I spent some time in the beaches this past summer, and they were more alive than they've been in the past, because the patios were open, because we had gotten rid of parking in the first lane and allowed restaurants to increase, because Port Credit BIA and Chinatown and other places had launched your program. I think that maybe what Bevan's talking about and what you're actually doing could be beneficial. And, it's too bad we hadn't done it in regular time, but isn't it wonderful that COVID-19 might be a catalyst to us beautifying and making our main streets more beautiful? What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important. I feel like COVID-19 really impacts a lot of people, and it makes us look back on ourselves. And if art makes us united, inspired, and brings people together, I believe the role of the artist is more important than ever, because we create to spread the message of hope and love, and through this kind of project, we can spread the word more widely.
Love and hope and art brings us together. I think that's a great way to conclude our conversation. Bevan Jennings, if people want to find out more about this initiative, do you have a website for your initiative?
Yeah, our website is stepsinitiative.ca, and you can find us at Steps Initiative in any social media platform.
Natasha, if people want to find out more about the Port Credit BIA, how do they find out about you?
Yes, so follow us on socials. We're very, very active on socials at Port Credit BIA. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We also have it on LinkedIn, and we are launching our TikTok. So keep up to date with that.
You should share people that do shows that tag you, by the way. June, if people want to follow your art, do you have a website?
I do have a website. It's jianjunkim.com, and I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at June Kim Art. And you can find my shop there. You can purchase my art, print, and ceramic works there.
We've been chatting with Bevan Jennings, June Kim, and Natasha Mckinnon. Bevan Jennings is the program director of the Steps Initiative on the Main Street Art Challenge. June Kim is an artist from Korea, now in Canada. And Natasha Mckinnon is the operations manager for the Port Credit BIA. I really appreciate you ladies sharing this wonderful initiative with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. I just want to note that it's stepsinitiative.com.
Thank you.
You can tell I'm not your engagement coordinator.
Thank you all very much. That's our show for tonight. Thank you for joining us.